My favorite Final Fantasy XIV content is missing. It's gonna be Eureka or Boja, one of them. Please, Larry, send word and give like reason to these people that they don't see the truth in the world.
The backwards walking Larryzaur, here to talk to you about what I think Final Fantasy XIV is missing in today's day and age. And don't worry, this isn't Grandpa Yells at Cloud. This is not that, okay? And that
I am not Grandpa Yells at Cloud. I am talking about legit grievances that people have, okay? There are people that make YouTube videos that have legit grievances and player grievances that exist, okay? I am not sitting here screaming at clouds.
That is because I love Final Fantasy XIV. I want to see it succeed, and I currently love it. I still play it to this day. The first thing I would like to say is the reason I'm able to do this at all is thanks to you guys. I've recently relaunched my Patreon, and I am now back to being a full-time content creator on YouTube, which is pretty awesome. I really love doing this, so thank you guys so much. Now, I do want to say that there's a ton of different content in Final Fantasy XIV. The Gold Saucer alone, you got Triple Triad, Chocobo Racing, Verminion for an RTS, and then there's PvP, and people
You know what he didn't list was Fashion Report. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you making it like this?
actually play it. It used to be in A Realm Reborn in Heaven's Word, PvP was a joke, so I'm very happy that at almost any time I can go queue into a PvP match. And there's Blue Mage. If you want to go down a rabbit hole of content,
I swear to you guys, I think that Blue Mage, like, Battle Royale is the thing. I am dead set on making a video at some point talking about this because I feel like it would be the coolest shit to have a Battle Royale with Blue Mage. And I'm so mad they have not made this yet. I swear it'll work. I think it'll make a lot of people have fun. Maybe people fucking hate Blue Mage so much and they're so fucking brain rot when it comes to Blue Mage that they won't do it. But I'm telling you, I think they could do something good with it. I think it would be good. Just fucking throw it in one of the pre-existing like PvP maps and give like abilities all over the map that you can go get and shit. It'll work. I know it'll work.
Blue Mage is your job. And if you're looking for a challenge, you can form up a Blue Mage static and attempt those achievements. There's longer term grinds that you can play it. It used to be in A Realm Reborn in Heaven's Word, PvP was a joke, so I'm very happy that at almost any time.
Wait, no way. Is that what the video is gonna be? Is he gonna say Blue Mage? Is that how he's leading into it? He's saying PvP and Blue Mage. He's gonna lead into what I'm saying.
I can go queue into a PvP match. And there's Blue Mage. If you want to go down a rabbit hole of content, Blue Mage is your job. And if you're looking for a challenge, you can form up a Blue Mage static and attempt those achievements. There's longer term grinds that you can do, like crafting, achievement hunting, or doing mentor relic for that super rare mount. Point is, there's a bunch of different content in this game that you can pursue if one of them strikes your fancy.
Yeah.
There's stuff for casual players, mid-core players, and hardcore players, and everybody in between. However, there is one piece of content that we used to get regular updates for. But slowly over the years, since Shadowbringers, these updates to this system have been growing further and further apart. And that, my friends, are the relic weapons. I'm going to tell you about them.
True. Endwalker relics might not have existed. In fact, we're not even getting Endwalker relics until Dawn Trail, meaning the things that they showed off at the live letter, those are the Manderville relics. You cannot convince me otherwise, and I know they're from the contest. It doesn't make sense to me that we got the Solution 9 weapons. They dropped the ball on the relic 100%. They fucking know it. We know it. Yoshi P knows it. They just don't want to admit it. It might as well not even existed in Endwalker.
Because Relic was my favorite piece of side content that I feel has dwindled away through the release of expansions. It's the type of content that isn't only for people who play the game a ton, but people who are new to the game and people just experiencing it for the first time as well. It's the perfect type of system that brings all players together.
I mean, it's linked to Eureka Boja, so.
Shadowbringers area for a specific reason. While Shadowbringers was probably the largest expansion that we've had in terms of player growth, I think it was also the moment in which the game changed a ton for mid-core players. First, how about we define what a mid-core player is? In my opinion, I would say that somebody who is mid-core plays the game quite a lot, a couple times a week, but they don't necessarily engage in Savage or Ultimate content. They don't do any of the more challenging content that requires having a group put together.
I agree with this, and I think this is some fucking brain rot that has been talked about by some content creators that do like rating. And I've also like reaffirmed this because of Endwalker specifically. I have said that they turned the Savage content into what midcore has because basically there is nothing else to do when it comes to quote unquote midcore players. But Eureka Boja existed for the longest time, or other small piece of content like that existed, and they fucking took it away. They didn't give a shit, and the only thing resorted left for midcore players was Savage. And to be fair, now we have in Dawn Trail, we have the 1 through 4 like M4S. It's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke comparatively. So because that's all they had for the longest time, they nerfed the shit out of it for this first tier, or I think it is. I don't know what other better way to explain it. Like, they made the raid content into midcore content, where I would say, if you look back, yeah, some of the turns were probably like quote unquote midcore, but I would have said during like Neo, or like what was it, like Omega, Halcanarsis and Neo X Death, and then the 07S and 08S with like Kefka, and then you had Omega for 011 and the twins plus Ultimate Omega in 012S, or sorry, Final Omega. Those I would say were much more hardcore content. We have this whole thing where it's like this tier is like stupidly easy, and maybe it's just because of the balance. They've already said that like it was like off-tuned because they like buffed up all the jobs and stuff, and that might really be it. But I feel like they're like pushing so much raid content, and I know that's good for some people that care about raid content, but some people just get fucking sick of it. I would rather there be more diverse content than just like fucking shoving in my face normal mode, savage mode, ultimates, chaotic, 24-man raid. Like, it's like every single fucking thing is a piece of raid content, and it's nonstop. That's all we get, and it's probably because it's easier for them to make. I don't know what other explanation it might be. Is it's easier for them to make, and I don't get it, because I feel like there's no like content that's been delivered in such a long time. Besides that, I guess Island Sanctuary, but it's been so written off because it's a spreadsheet. Or like you go fucking hit rocks. You simplified gathering and turn it into a instant zone that you do not play with anyone else, and spreadsheets. That's frustrating.
Basically, the type of thing I would define as a midcore content then is
fantastic. Unreal Trials and extreme modes. Those are technically raids in my mind. Even more. I think raids belong in this game. I like doing raids, but there's fucking too much of it. They didn't used to have such a huge emphasis on raiding content.
Things that take time, but not necessarily are a challenge. What do you think that is? It's Relic. Yep, the answer is Relic. It is the epitome of what a midcore content is. And thus, the reason why I'm here in Shadowbringers is because this is the expansion where Relic seemed to take a much bigger backseat. Relic weapons are a special weapon that you can get for your job, and they are individual to each job in the game. And they're meant to be a long, grindy thing that you work towards.
The Era Relic first steps is the best set of steps for any relic they have ever made. You literally build the weapon, you craft it from parts that you gather from doing dungeons. You put materia in it, and then you go around to all the strongholds that are related to your particular relic. Gather a like item. Then you fight the Chimera and Hydra. And then you fight all the available primals, and then that makes the first step. To me, that's a journey and a quest line to make a relic, and it feels good. I think all the preceding things, where you kind of have like gradual grinds in ARR, not as good. But I think the Eureka Boja steps, if you had that initial like kind of step to build the relic, and then with like mini trials or whatever you want to call those, and then you had these more like grindy steps, I feel like that would make the relic a better thing. Like a mashup between what Eureka Boja and Boja does for the relics with the very first step of ARR. To me, it feels like I'm actually like taking the time to make my weapon versus like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go purchase poetics.
Over the course of the expansion. This was the case in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward and Stormblood. Once we got to Shadowbringers, it started being a little bit more sporadic. Relic weapons are so good that I keep them on me at all times.
I do the same thing. I hate, well, he's getting replicas, but I hate actually getting rid of the actual relic because it feels like it's like a trophy or like something like, oh, I did this, or like I worked hard for this.
In my saddlebag. Look at how good this is. This is the
It's
Apocalypse Zeta from A Realm Reborn, and every job had an individual glow and aesthetic to their weapon. And then
that is why they all had a unique look, is why I say that those weapons that came in the live letter are the Manderville weapons. I really think they were trying to make Manderville weapons look like that, but they either had a course of two things happen. They had the visuals that were like, you know, like kind of goofy weapons and people would not resonate with this, or they just didn't finish them in time and they were too behind because of whatever work they were doing. I don't know. I can't like fathom it any other way than they either didn't finish the work or they felt that like, oh, are we really doing this? Are we really going to make these weapons that don't look serious and are a relic? Because I know there are people who would be upset about this. But the second that I heard the Manderville relics were coming to Final Fantasy XIV, I immediately thought, oh, Umbrella like thing from Final Fantasy VII, the like rocket punch gloves for Barret, the like nail bat that Cloud has. There's like Excalibur from like other games. Like those are my examples of like things that I would expect from like a Manderville relic. It's not a serious weapon because Manderville's not supposed to be serious.
for Summoner, there's the Heavensward relic. Quite possibly the best book in the game. Or best weapon at all in the game, because it's got giant Bahamut wings.
That one's really good.
Can't quite get better than this. Then there's some other ones, you know, I've got this book from Walmart, and all in all, they're just a very rewarding thing to grind for. Now, while we've had a relic weapon in every
I feel like the problem is they've made too many jobs, and I've talked about this guys to you before. If they don't stop making jobs, they're running into debt. They're running into debt of how many things that they have to make every single patch for Relic. So what it does is it ends up putting like back all these assets that they have to create. They either need to hire more people that can do stuff at that level to like accomplish making the weapons and designing them, or they need to like cut back on the jobs. Them having to make a relic set, or a artifact set every single expansion for every single job is going to run thin when they have to make those every single time. They're going to make an excuse and stop making job specific gear, and they're going to start making role specific gear at some point because they're going to say it takes too much effort and too much time to do it, and they don't have the resources to do it, and there's too many jobs. I know this is going to happen because they keep adding more jobs. If the next expansion adds 2 more, we are going to be at 23 jobs. It's too much. I understand it is a huge selling factor of the expansion, but there needs to be a realistic point where you are making too many assets and you can't handle it. It's the same thing with the races. They should have never made both Hrothgar and Vera. I'm sorry that if you play one of those, they should have picked one or the other because they have not delivered on Hrothgar and Vera. The fact that you guys do not get your hats half the time, and now they have also started gutting away the ears from Makote, I think is a fundamental problem with like their like pipeline as far as like asset creation, because they are not delivering basic things that they used to anymore, and it's getting thinner and thinner. You can't just like keep increasing every expansion the amount of required like things to produce and not have more developers to do it. You're going to get to a tech debt.
expansion. The thing that has changed is how often we get an update to them and how long they go for the duration of the expansion itself. Back in A Realm Reborn, the relics started pretty much right away, and every single major patch we would get an update to the relic quest. It seemed like every couple months we had a new step to grind for that we literally just finished because each step would take you until the next patch came out. Now, you didn't have to take it that way, right? You didn't have to grind so much for it the entire time playing. And you know, it was actually really good for the game because it put people into encounters and duties that other people didn't really run all the time otherwise.
I agree.
So it gave the regular players things to do, and then it filled up the queues for the older content for new players to still have people to run stuff with. They did a similar thing in Heaven's Word, was each patch going, oh, what's the new relic step? Okay, guys, let's grind for relic because we only got 3 months to go. Make sure you finish the step because next patch is right around the corner. Once Stormblood hit, it slowed down a little bit, just slightly, because relic started when Eureka came out, and Eureka was like a patch in to the regular content cycle. Though once
I want to be clear. I do not think it is necessary that you have to start it with the side content of like Eureka. I personally think Eureka and Bosha should be in the initial set of patches for an expansion. So meaning like X.08 or something like that. So at the very end of like where we're kind of at now, or like maybe like a month ago, we should have got a Eureka or Bosha equivalent. That's my ideal. Now, if we don't get that, I personally think they need to drop at the start of the expansion a step for the relic that basically gives you the same thing that is like a like 10 item levels below whatever the savage weapon is. And it needs to require you doing something like that's like a decent amount of work. And it will give people motivation to make all of them. In ARR, when these weapons came out for the relics, so many people sat there that I know and just made every single relic that are like players that like regular players, not like your uber fucking like crazy fucking people, that just regular players that want to play an MMO, because it wasn't difficult enough where it wasn't like this massive grind. It was stupid. It was doing content that was like, it was just like, oh, I'm doing this like pathway to create this weapon that like wasn't like I could do like one weapon on the weekend, or I could like take a night to just go through all the steps of this one weapon, and it feels good because I have something at the end of it, and it's not impacting, like it was not significant enough as far as like how much DPS it gave you to like overwhelm Sav or like coils at the time. It was a piece of like armor that was just like, oh, it's good to start with for like doing content. And I don't know why they broke away from that. I thought that was like one of the best things they ever did when it came to ARR. And I feel like not enough people know about this. And I think if you translated like that thing to every single relic step, it would solve so many issues. On top of like, obviously the field content would be nice, but like I don't know if we'll ever get that field content in that like X.05 or 8 or whatever patch.
It started, we got like regular updates in each patch to Eureka itself. I mean, you know Eureka, there's so many zones in there, and it takes forever to get through all of them. So yeah, the experience of Stormblood was Eureka. Then we got to Shadowbringers. Now, what happened here was Relic did not begin right away.
It was almost felt like we were
halfway through Shadowbringer's life cycle, and that's when Relic started. You would do the new patch content the day it came out. Meanwhile, for grindy stuff, I mean, you had Savage Raids, you had Extreme Primal, you know, you had that stuff. But remember, we're talking about midcore content here. We're not talking about getting people together for a group to go do challenging content. I just want to log in and play the game and have something to grind for. You know, like an MMO. And then was Endwalker. Endwalker, for all of its good stuff. Maybe this is a hot take, I don't know. But
I'm going to stop him right here. He stopped, I'm betting, because, or I bet he still was playing Endwalker subtly. But I bet part of the reason beyond him working on the game dev stuff is he was not having as much fun in Endwalker. I'm just theorizing. Maybe he won't say it, but I just have a theory that he was not having as much fun at Endwalker and he wasn't as enthusiastic about it. And Larry's videos tend to be a lot more like, I would say, critical in a positive way. Like, I think Larry is really good at translating like a criticalness to his videos sometimes, or in like an extremely joking manner talking about something, and it like is to the benefit. Like, I think in the past he's made like really goofy videos, but I think it's always came out of enthusiasm for the game that it translates really well, even if it's criticism.
The relic quest in Endwalker was absolute garbage. Want to know why? Because there was no relic grind in Endwalker. I would literally log in on patch day with my tomes capped already because, you know, I just play the game and don't spend the tomes. And I go talk to the NPC and I got a weapon. I didn't do anything. Call me crazy. At the bare minimum, the relic steps in Endwalker shouldn't have been 1,500 tomes. It should have been at least a little bit more than the maximum that you can carry, so you at least have to do something. I would like to stress bare minimum because I don't really think that a tome grind is engaging content.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have a problem with even that comment because I don't think tome grinds are impactful. I'm fine if there's like one specific like set of the relic. Like for example, if you had in a relic step at the very end of it, like purchase like something for like 1,000 like tomestones, I wouldn't care. That's fine. Throw it in at the end. It's like a final step of just make sure you have this item, and then it's like something you can use tomestones on. Like if you look at like my inventory, I have tons of this kind of stuff where I've just like purchased like Heavensward like items or like ARR items to like save up with my extra poetics. I think that's fine for like, but it cannot be the whole entire like step of a patch. The whole step of a patch needs to be more significant. It's got to be more involved.
Slapping on, hey, spend 5,000 tomes, here you go, that's the relic grind. Like, no, that's not very good either. I'm sounding kind of negative here. I'm not complaining. Well, I suppose I am, but really, I want to play the game. You know, I just want to play Final.
Every single person keeps saying, I want to play the game. And these people come out of the fucking word work and say, no, go play other games. I'm so irritated about that comment. It's enraging. And it's something that Yoshida has brainwashed you with. I am being negative about this because it is so damn frustrating. We've came from a time where MMOs used to want you to play the game or want you to engage with other people while playing the game. And that's the important part of an MMO. And you don't need to make some like crazy fucking content to do that. You just need to make the content relatively engaging out of what you've already done before. And they have a recipe for success when it comes to this. Stop listening to these people that say that they don't like long grindy content because your target audience isn't those people. If you kill your player base that logs in every day, those are your actual subscribers. These people that do the MSQ, that's great and they love it. You should have those people and you should appeal those people. Give them a good MSQ, but they're fucking gone no matter what because they think playing games is a chore. If they think playing games is a chore, they don't need to be playing the fucking game. I'm not the one that should be told, don't play the game.
Final Fantasy XIV. And so enters the crux of the problem of where we are right now. It is Check's watch 7.0 and 7.1 is right around the corner.
I love that Larry's positive. I'm not about this.
About relic at all. We don't know when it's coming. Who knows? Who really knows when it's going to come? Because you know what's going to happen. 7.1 is going to come out, and for mid-core players, we're going to get through the patch in the first day or two, and log out. If you're a hardcore player and you raid, I mean, you're eating good, right? You're gonna have the 24-man chaotic raids. Like, that's super awesome. And you're gonna have an ultimate. Like, you guys are eating so great. But what happened?
See, this is the part that I'm saying, like, I think I am not asking to take away the raid content in any way, shape, or form. I think that is absolutely amazing. They're appealing to people that want to raid. And I think they're giving it like they're eating fucking good. That is like, I am praising them that they're giving that stuff. I do think it's too much comparatively, But if they're going to do that, do it. But you need to still supplement something else that's not raiding. Because it feels like they've kind of like gone way too far with it. And I feel like everything has been shoved down raiding's throat right now. And it does, I think there is a lot of raiders. And I do think raiding is a big appeal to this game. But all the other pieces I feel like are falling off. Let me be fair. They have announced all this stuff that I'm talking about. I just feel like it's taken way too long. It's taking way too long. And hopefully it like even chaotic is, to be fair, like it doesn't even come out until Christmas. Oh, I wish it came out with a patch.
To having a thing you could do in an MMO where you would play with some friends, and it's not necessarily like, hey guys, let's do this really hard challenging content, but instead I just want to hang out with some friends and get some stuff done in an MMO. That is the type of content that I think 14 is severely missing. And
I don't want to jump to 11 too much but I do want to make something to 11. So in Final Fantasy XI, I had talked about with you guys previously that there was a monster or a set of monsters that spawn every 21 to 24 hours, right? And those sets of monsters, they have 3 hours basically that you have to sit there and wait for them. And then they only spawn in those that window every 30 minutes. So basically you have to pay attention to the game every 30 because it's every 30 minutes and it's for 3 hours. It's like 6 times total. But while you're sitting there waiting for the monsters potentially spawn within those every 30-minute windows for like about a minute worth of time, it's like 30 seconds or a minute worth of time, they potentially spawn. You're sitting in Ventrilo talking to other people, chilling with other people, chatting, watching videos, or like doing like homework or stuff like that. But you're hanging out with your guild and you're sharing like experience with your guild and talking with them. To me, in a lot of ways, that is the same experience that you get when you're doing a relic. You're joining in a common experience that may not be entirely engaging, but it's getting you to socialize with people in a shared experience in a moment in time, and you're enjoying it with other people. That, to me, is the thing that is missing and what is important to the relic, even with Eureka. And also, I do think Eureka and Boja and stuff give you a way to go do it, where you could do it by yourself and you don't have to engage with people. But it's such like, I hate using brain dead, but I think it's fine that it's like not like hyper engaging in the sense of I have to pay attention really hard to this, and not like, it's not like I have to do like a savage mechanic. It's engaging in the way like I'm pressing buttons and doing the same thing that's like running to point A and B and coordinating with people, or like someone shouting and like, oh, I'm following the group. I'm a part of a group, like running around. That's the shared like MMO experience, a lot on top of doing it with your friends and you're just chatting and you're having a good time. It's not a high stress environment. Even though like in 11, the like monsters that would spawn every 21 to 24 hours were like, it's serious because it's like, that's the best gear. And then people like will maybe even try and like MPK you and shit if you claim it and they don't. That is not really that stressful, because it's not like I have to like dodge a bunch of shit and like my brain's having to like fucking fire off like constantly, like paying attention left to right, all the way. I have to remember the strategy and jump rope shit over and over. I don't have a problem with like that when I'm raiding. But when I want to have the moments where I'm not feeling like I'm having to like do that type of content and also have a subtle bit of engagement to socialize with people, because I think one of the things that like causes stress amongst like friends when you're raiding is not having that casual thing to like kind of like jump back to and do like a relic step. One of the things that like when I was doing ARR as a raider, doing like coils and shit, and with my static, is when we got done raiding, if people needed to go, they left. But there were some of us that would stick around and we would go run dungeons together for poetics and shit, or we'd go do like objectives for relics together. We'd do like maps and shit together. And I'm not saying people don't do that now, but I think the relic step encourages that so much more in that subtle way. when an example of when I was doing like BA with like, it was like Elysium was like running BA, I would go with them after BA and I would go to like stuff like Cassie in Pagos, and we would just like sit there chill killing a bunch of monsters in like voice chat and trying to get like Cassie to spawn and shit. Like it's really subtle shit that like makes it like engaging with other people, and you're just fucking sitting there and chatting. I think that's huge.
So, this is my thesis. If they used a relic grind within each expansion again like they did in A Realm Reborn in Heavensward. Okay, not exactly the same relic grind. I actually prefer the Eureka style. But basically, having a relic grind that perpetuates throughout the life cycle of the expansion, so that each major patch, you have a new relic thing to look forward to. My theory states that that would breathe so much life into the game, because it would keep regular players logging in and playing, and it would get new players people to play with in the older stuff, and it would get the hardcore players enjoying stuff already because they already are eating really good. And I think it would just be good for everybody. I don't know, man. I've just been saying this for a long time that I'm just a huge proponent of relic grind, okay? And again, it doesn't have to be a crazy grind like back in A Realm Reborn where you had to grind like a billion gajillion fates, be looking for an Atma drop rate that was like the drop rate of a pony, or oh my god, I don't even want to mention it, but the books, oh gosh, the books. You know what, on second thought, yeah, let's just make all the relic grind books. Okay, but no, seriously, what I would prefer is Eureka. Basically just Eureka again, and tie that to the relic, which I believe that is what we're getting this expansion.
If they just make Eureka and that's all that the I don't even remember what its fucking name is, the field operation thing, it's Occult Crescent, or it's like something triangle, whatever that is, if it is just Eureka, people will complain, but I think the majority of people just shut the fuck up and be happy. Or they'll complain about it in the moment, maybe because like, oh man, I'm grinding, blah, 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 and then they'll get over it. They'll get over it. And you need to stop listening to people that are screaming about it on the forums or something, because man, they just fucking hate the playing the game or something. Like, don't appeal to people that don't like the game or logging in the game. You are not forced to do a relic.
So that is good, right? We are getting that style content for Relic. The problem is going to be the same problem we had in Shadowbringers, which admittedly is better than what we had in Endwalker. But the problem is that it's going to be halfway through the life cycle of Dawn Trail, and then we're going to be starting the Relic. We need it during these lulls of content. That's what the Relic grind fills. Okay, I think I'm going to rest my case here. I really like relic grinds, you guys. I would like to also mention that I don't think everybody has to like relic grinds.
100%. I don't. Hold on. I want to say, I don't think everyone needs to like it. I am just sick of people basically answering with me, telling me to go play another game. Maybe Final Fantasy XIV isn't the game for you anymore. No, the game was made by the developers for you now because they're trying to appeal to you, and you don't even want to play it in the first place. They should have never tried to appeal to you in the first place because you don't want to do it.
14 does content in general. You don't have to do every piece of content in the game. It's just that the people who like those pieces of content go and do those forms of content. And, well, I was the target audience for Relic, and I feel like I lost that content. It was an enormous part of the time I spent playing Final Fantasy XIV. So here I am just going, hey, I really, really like relic grinds. I think it's healthy for the game. I think it's a perfect form of mid-core content to have something to work towards with your pals while you're playing the game together. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for me for this video. I also just wanted to say thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me. Being able to work on the videos that I love doing and working on my games, this is just, it's so great. So thank you so much. I'm just so happy that I get to do this again. So thank you guys. So please stay tuned for more videos, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for being common sense where I'm ragey. This is the thing that sets me off, guys, and you guys know it. I've constantly said this since all of Endwalker, like nonstop, and I feel like we just need more voices of reason with it, because someone like me, just like, I immediately like am frustrated by the situation because I feel like I keep getting told like you're wrong. I've spoken about Eureka when Eureka came out. I spoke about Boja when it came out, constantly like big advocate of it, like this being really good content. And I feel like I was told so many times, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, bad content, bond content. The constant reinforcement of like something is too much of a grind, or I can't like it because it's not my thing, and people constantly pushing back and then seeing it being removed. And I don't have an explanation for it besides there was so much bad feedback for it when it like from people that were like outspoken, but the people who like liked it maybe didn't speak up enough. No matter how many times people say to me that I'm looping about this topic, I will continue to talk about it until something changes, because I feel like the crowd is growing that feels this way. I don't think I'm alone. I don't think I'm crazy. I don't think I've ever been crazy, even though I've been told you're wrong and you don't know what you're talking about. I will continue to sit here and say it over and over again. And I am completely fine if someone does not like that content. I think Larry is a voice of reason, and I am happy he is back to making content. He provides generally good content and great feedback when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV stuff. I think he understands because he wants to play the game. And he wants to play an MMO.